Okay, Bonnie Ghani, everyone. This is Professor Rahh, Professor Emeritus, California State University, Long Beach Africana Studies Department, former city councilman, city college, community college, board of trustees, and Compton Unified School District board of trustees, which were elected positions, public elections, positions, along with hopefully Joe Hemrick, our co-host, who was a historian that was educated for the Compton Unified School District and Linwood Unified District, as well as the first Black coach, and a long-time self-indulged historian on the ancient aspects of our spirituality and culture. We want to welcome each and every one of you because you tune into an excellent show. We want to thank Brother Rahh for his providing us this platform, the Conscious Corner, on the Community Education Network, which we advise you to listen to tomorrow, this Wednesday, which will be the 29th. And we hope that you will come and join the show. We want to also welcome Brother Mshinda from Louisiana, the Deep South, that requires us to, always be regional and think national about critical issues that we face as Black people. And so we're going to have a lively discussion. And as we always say, this is a place where we speak truth first to the people, second to the power, and that we speak truth, do justice, and walk in the way of righteousness. And we hope that you will continue to support the CNN network, educational community network, by just any means necessary, financially, or just tune in and check us out. We are every Tuesday and Wednesday, and you can get all you have to do is just type in Community Education Network, that one word, Community Education Network.com. You got to put the .com in, and then it'll come up either automatically, or it'll come up where you have to click on either Apple or Community Education Network in small letters at the top. You click that on, and then it'll take you over to W program, CEN program. And then you scroll down to, on Tuesdays, like tonight, is Conscious Corner. And on Wednesday is Community Education Network. And again, we welcome each and every one of you that may be interested in getting some actual facts about Blacks. And that's what we're going to be discussing. So our topic tonight is going to be a very sensitive topic. But it's very challenging because people have different perspectives of it. And that is the role of religion in Black people's lives. There's an argument that the three major Western religions, according to Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakanan and John Henry Clark and John G. Jackson, are religions that are dominated and controlled by whites. And many people think if you're a part of that education, religious aspect in today's world, you're really supporting white racism. And I'm not sure. I mean, there's a lot of dynamics that go into religion that's positive and negative. But I just want to get a perspective from Brother Mshinda, because I know religion played a deep, deep role in the South. And some pay credit religion for them getting out of the Holocaust of enslavement, as well as their longevity in life, and an illustration of somewhere that they were reinforced to have faith that one day it'll be a better day for their people, if not them. So Mshinda, how is the Black church or Black religion, Black religion as a whole, because they're different. There's Black Jews, there's Black Muslims, there's Black Buddhists, there's Black Hindus, there's Black Yorubas, And we're talking about in the United States, though. We're not talking about African religions on the continent. But what role do you see religion in the lives of Black people, and that you consider, challenging or positive, Brother Mshinda?
Yeah, good evening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a broad question, I think. But to narrow it down, from my perspective, my observation, um, if you look at it from an historical standpoint, those of us who've done some research and understand historically uh, of the religion as it relates to the world, as it relates to Black people. Um, if you listen to uh, people like Dr. Claude Anderson and other scholars, they talk about religion as
Mm-hmm.
far as they talk about they give you historical references. They talk about I remember listening to Dr. Claude Anderson, who I have some respect for, as a person who, I think is well read and understands a lot of things, but I'm not saying he's without fault, but he talks about when black people, Black ministers in particular, you go back, I think during, slavery and after slavery, where the black ministers signed a deal with the Europeans, basically. So basically to keep them in control, um, and that type of thing, So whether people want to believe that or not, there's plenty of evidence that shows you that things are still in place and things are still going on. So just looking at that historically, now as it relates to why people join and how's it going with other people, from a personal experience, I know people that go to church every Sunday, and it offers from the Black church. The Black church has offered them some kind of, offered them given them a moral compass, something to strive for, something to, try to keep their lives positive, that kind of thing. A lot of them don't even understand the history.
Mm-hmm.
You, Brother Hembrick, talk about the Council of Nicaea and all those historical facts that go back in its inception, when like who started what and who, where did these characters come from and all these other beliefs and things like that. But at the end of the day, I truly believe that most Black people, just most people in general, they don't read, and so they don't have the understanding of that history, and so therefore they're looking at it from like, hey, I'm just trying to be good, and I'm trying to get to heaven, and I'm trying to, just in other words, they say, well, we all sinners, that kind of thing. So that gives them a pass when they do mess up. But at the end of the day, I think people are either still trying to figure it out, or they haven't figured it out, and they just going with what they have, in this modern time. So when you have a conversation with somebody that's convicted in their religions, when it comes to Black people, Muslims, Christian, I have friends that are in relatives that are in subscribe to both of those ways of thinking, and so therefore, you're not going to convince them to not go along with their religion or anything like that. So I've never been disrespectful. I can't say never. My intention is not to be disrespectful, but I don't even engage in that conversation with people in their faith. Because that's their faith. That's what they do. And so as long as I continue to conduct myself, accordingly, and try to exemplify what I believe, that's all I can do and offer, and of course, I'll never tell you that, you're stupid for believing this or believing that, but we'll offer conversation and readings or something to try to intercede that thinking, like, hey, have you heard of this? Check this out, that kind of thing. Just food for thought. And sometimes, people come to realization, or I mean, so-called realization, because that's what I'll leave it at that in respect, for them. But anyway, I think it has its place. The religion. If you take away the politics and the dogma and just look at it as something to identify with, and there's a lot of people. I know a lot of old ladies and old men, and I just say that because they're good people, and they try to tell you what's right, and they're convicted in their faith, and so they're just saying, hey, be respectful, love each other. So and I always say, they say, well, the Ten Commandments, you go back and in ancient times, those writings, they talked about thou shalt not kill, and sleep with your neighbor's wife, and all the other commandments were already part of admonitions and different things or whatever. So historically, those facts, may be true. However, it doesn't matter to me, because if truth is truth, whether the African from 50,000 years ago said, thou shalt not kill. Well, that's a good thing, African, but if somebody's saying, well, in the Bible, it tells you thou shalt not kill, well, I'm not gonna tear that down, because truth is truth. Yeah, hey, don't kill nobody. And so that's what I'm saying. It's more, I'm not gonna be fanatical about it or one way or the other. It's kind of like, my thing is to continue to learn and try to still learn and try to, but the name of the game is try to survive this existence and try to keep peace in the world and all the other things. And that's what it's all about. Whoever started what first, I think that's important, because Black people don't get credit for a lot of things. And so I think those things are inspirational to generations of people, to know that, hey, we're not cannibals, or we're not uncivilized people, or that kind of thing, that narrative that they try to push to the world, that this is who we are. And that's part of the premise of what we're doing here, is to let the world know that we're intelligent people. We believe in higher things and understanding, higher order of understanding and things like that. So I think that there are ministers out there and imams and preachers and reverends and different, whatever name it falls under, whether it's Muslim or Christian. And I think there's some people that have some good intentions, and the ones that have great intentions, I'm down with. The ones that when I have the ability to discern, and the ones that I feel that's faking the funk, I don't fool with that, and I just leave it at that. So but it has its place in the order of things, in terms of the order of society, and it more so today. Now, again, and I'm not going to keep going on, but to close, there's talk about bringing Black history and teachings in the church. There are a lot. There's different. There's a movement out there. Some scholars and people that are recommending that. It's like in Sunday school. You talk about history, talk about because they're trying to do away with the teachings in certain states and things like that, like Florida. So you can't stop the church, separation of church and state. So there's a movement on, let's advocate. And there are some churches out there that are starting to add to their Sunday schools some teaching, some Black history, to the teachings, that kind of thing. Jews have been doing it for a long time, with their they go to Jewish school, they learn about, the ways and the cultures of the Jew, that kind of thing. So they said Black people need to talk about their culture, because of the in a lot of churches. I remember me having down here, since I've lived here years ago. The brother's dead, let him rest in peace, but the young brother passed away early. We had a conversation, and he believed that there's God, and then there's Black, so God supersedes the Blackness. So we should just talk about Jesus and God and not talk about Black history, that kind of thing. But then later on, he realized that, like, what are you talking about? So he kind of came around and kind of got an understanding that it's imperative that we know our history. It's important. So so in closing, the black church, and whether it's Islam or Christianity or Hebrew Israelite, they all have their positive uh, intentions. But at the end of the day, hey, as long as you're talking truth or talking something positive, I can't dispute that.
Okay, now I got a couple questions for you. When Dr. Ben, he Claude is an economist. He's about black empowerment and like developing an economic base and things. Dr. Ben was a student of history. He said people create gods. Gods don't create people. And Malcolm said, your religion should be between you and God. It don't make no difference what religion you are. You still catching hell because you're black. But your religion should be between you and your God. And if it haven't done no more for you than what it has, you need to put it in the closet and forget it anyway. Then there's an aspect of that. The first black church was the Ethiopian Coptic Church in ancient Ethiopia. Which Egypt is northern Ethiopia, but most people don't want to. They try to take Egypt out of Africa, but it's on the continent. When people say that those issues, because people are devoted, a belief system is just like your hand, your emotions, and your intelligence. That's not what you believe. Sometimes influences your decisions, and that's your intelligence. And you rely on your religion, your minister, or someone of faith. The majority of people that's going to church today are women. The majority of black people that's going to church. Many in the Muslim community, about half and half, men and women. In the Jewish community, it's a challenge because you have the black Israelites, and then you have the Ethiopian Jews, and then you have those that convert to Judaism. Because Zionists believe that the only true Jew is one that is born a Jew, even though there are people that convert, like Sammy Davis Jr. and a few others. But how do you feel about the role of religion in the development of black people? And because a lot of people credit religion to our advancement as a people. Dr. Ben would say that people want to go to heaven, but they don't want to die. And when they do die, they don't go up in the air. They put them in the ground or in the mausoleum instead of ascending to heaven, which is up, and hell is down. So you're going in the wrong direction. You mentioned that there's some positive things. Could you go over a few positive things you think people get out of religion?
Well, sure. I mean, the dynamics of life, the day-to-day thing about life, I mean, we were born into this world at a certain time, way before ancient history. Mm-hmm. And so when you're born into this world, I mean, whatever is going on, if there's a war going on, there's certain things when you were born, you didn't know. 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 You didn the rebellions. The people might have been born in 65 with the Watts Rebellion. Some was born in 91, 92 with the rebellions and the different things and the civil rights movements. And then some were born in slavery and some, so depending, so the time you were born, so religion during those different time periods, of course we can find fault and negativity in some of it, like during civil rights, you know, according to my grandparents and grandmother telling me about how that only one black church opened their church up to the civil rights workers, because they needed a refuge. There's a lot going on down here with the Klan and stuff, but it was one church in particular who opened up the doors, and you could have meetings. A lot of the other preachers fled. They were scared. They wasn't convicted as they say they were. I mean, or they just didn't believe in getting involved. That type of thing. So what I'm saying is the ones that opened up that church and the people that were members of that church and the community that flocked to that church that wasn't members that went there for a refuge. The Ku Klux Klan in this town was high and mighty, and you had deacons of defense and things going on right here in this town. It's famous for that. And so what I'm saying is I'm just using that time period to where the church opened up its doors and said, hey, come on in here and, don't be in fear and that type of thing. And the preacher that was over the church, he's like, hey, hey, we're going to be all right. So I'm saying is it's kind of like something inspirational. It's kind of like you wake up in the morning and go brush your teeth and you've posted up inspirational sayings, hey, I'm going to have a good day, love yourself and all those things. So it tends to have an effect on the mind. The mind is very delicate and very, it's a trip. So you can kind of pre-program yourself and to say, what, it's going to be all right. It's kind of like coaches firing you up, getting fired up for a game. Everything is a lot of psychological.
You hit the mute button.
Preachers, they do the same thing. They tell you, don't give up. Look at Genesis 19, 14, and 1, and just look at Deuteronomy and look, and they start quoting these verses, and and people, it's all they got. A lot of us don't even know how to read. I'm talking about at a prolific level. You just have faith. You have faith. You got to have faith. And so say, I'm going to have faith. And so if you believe in faith, then you got to go down with it, And so I always say to a person that's convicted in the church, when something bad happens, I say, hey, don't do it. Don't go away from what got you here. Like what your belief system. You have a crisis in your life, and so you got to keep your faith. I would encourage them to keep their faith. I said, so in other words, it's a way. It's something it's a way to deal with the everyday crisis in life, and it's almost like I won't call it a psych trip because I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't, but it's almost conditioning yourself to just stay strong, and if so I don't know. It's an interesting phenomenon. That's all I can say to you. I mean, you have the European philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche talked about religion. He said it's, religion, he said God is dead. And he said that, religion is used to make people subordinate to somebody else. It's kind of it's a power move. It's a pimp game in so many words to put it lightly, as what, this is what Friedrich Nietzsche was talking about. Yeah, he was a white boy, but at the same time, this was his take on it. A lot of these philosophers have their takes on it. Just because he's European, that don't mean that he ain't right. That don't mean that he might have got it from somebody else. Socrates, Aristotle, or whoever. They we talk about how they studied in the mystery schools and they got it from the Egyptian masters, of course. But what do you do? At the end of the day, if it's real, it's real. So, but what my point is, though, I think we live in chaos. We're living in chaos. And so we need something. We need something to keep balance. So if religion keeps you in balance, I know people who go to church religiously and go to church every Sunday, and it does something for them. It calms their nerves. It keeps them from being in fear. And I know a lot of fearless people who go to church, and if that's gonna, and they're great people. What is a great person? These are people that give the shirt off their back. These are the people that help other people. So I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. I think a lot of stuff is overrated to me. If you are operating in goodness and you subscribe to goodness, I don't care where you're getting it from. Now, if you want to weaponize it and like some of these folks do, and say you're superior to somebody and all this other stuff, then yeah, those are the ones I got a problem with. Yeah, if you want to buy a private jet, through my offerings, and you want to, collect money every Sunday, and it goes, and we don't see any growth in the community that around the church, yeah, I got a problem with that. Yeah, So anyway, but hey, that, I'm not going to speak against anything that's good, that's
Professor Rahh,
yielding something good.
you're on mute.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. You closing out, Mshinda?
Yeah, I was just, pretty much closed out, just saying that, um, again, if there's some goodness that's tied to whatever the sermon is or whatever the speech is, we can call it a sermon, a speech, a talk. We can play semantics, but if the message is worth saying, hey, love your neighbor, help each other, go help somebody that needs help today. If you have a positive message that's coming out of these churches every Sunday, I have no problem with that. And again, I think there's more can be done. I think that if you know who you are and understand history, like some of these churches are starting to incorporate Black history into their lesson plans, then that's going to take the game to another level. Which, don't get me wrong, that's part of the premise of this broadcast here, is to talk about historical facts, to enlighten people and like yourself. And so yeah, we can't quit doing that. But at the end of the day, there is value in it. There is value in it, but I think it can be far greater value if they did incorporate some of the things that you talk about on a regular basis on Tuesday night.
Okay, good. Thanks, Mshinda, for that. I'm gonna come back to you in a second. Rashaki, who Sharawa?
Yeah, Brother Terrara's here.
Okay, Brother Sharawa, we're talking about the role of religion in Black people's lives, the positives and negatives, and the exploitation and the abuse and misuse, as well as the positives. Do you have any comment, Brother Sharawa? Okay, Rashaki, why don't you go ahead?
Okay.
You're on mute, Brother Sharawa.
Okay, here. As soon as he come in, I'll let him speak. But one thing about, when people are trying to find a way to, console themselves or looking for a better way of being, one of the first stops is the church. I can speak from a personal experience. When I wasn't feeling too well and I was going through some crisis, and I wanted to be better than what I was. That was the first thing I seeked out was religion. I went to the mosque, I went to the Christian church, and started searching. And when you're doing that, you're looking to be better than what you are. I would say, speaking from that vantage point, for me, And I think other people do the same when they get in trouble. They may say, I need to start going to church. I need to do this or that. That's going to make them better than what they are. So I think it's when you're on a path to righteousness, I think churches and religion is one of the first stops. And then when you get into the the culture of it, I would say, you know, take the Bible and you start reading it and you start studying it with the church people. And then myself, I was looking at it from a lens through blackness. And I noticed some things about the church when I was attending that didn't sit well with me because I was black and then the white imagery and different trains of thought. So I had to start thinking for myself and kind of analyzing what it was really offering. So I didn't stay very long at the church. But I think if you're headed in a direction of being the best person you could be, church is not a bad place to start. And then also education. When you're being educated, it may contradict some of the the information that you're learning in the Bible and just about the religion. Period. You take, for instance, we had uh, the brother on. I'm not thinking straight now, but we just had on what's your buddy's name? Rahh? I can't even think straight right now.
Jabal.
Jabal. We just had Jabal on, and he basically said that the religion is African folklore. You know, everything was that's the genesis of it. And folklore means that it's just stories, you know, metaphoric stories. So, you know, when you get in that type of information and then you look at the historical what people went through, like African people that were enslaved, you look at what they went through. And, you know, certain things in the Bible or people misinterpret the Bible. And like I misinterpreted, I would say when they said that, you know, you're cursed because you're black. I don't know how accurate I was, but you know, it's just it can be used for manipulation at times too, and to keep people in fear. So there's many things that you could take from it that's, I would say, positive, and then there's also negativity that come out of it. But I want to hear what Brother Chihuahua got to say if he can unmute. Brother Chihuahua, I wonder what's going on. Maybe. Well, go ahead, Professor Rahh. I'm gonna try to contact
you. Okay, let me go over a few things. You know, as Mshinda was pointing out, there's different eras in which the church had different meanings. Not only religion, all religions, depending on the era. But one thing that people say that impossibility for humans set the stage for the coming of a religion or faith. So one thing that many people forget, that religion also provided code of ethics and morality for people. Most people go by ethics and morality before they even go by law. And, you know, you connect that as a positive institute. It taught people how to get along with each other, work together, how to accept the Ten Commandments or the various virtues and ethics from other religions. Within their religion, you know, like thou shalt not kill, or thou shalt do this, or thou shalt do that. And that, and they consider bad behavior as sinning. You know, there's plenty of contradictions, of course. But like during the Holocaust of enslavement, black people started going to church because white people let them, and they felt it was safe because they were teaching them the religion that they even sometimes spied on them. Teaching. Sharara is there? Sharara?
Yes.
We're talking about the role of religion in black people's lives, the positives and negatives, the challenges that it poses with regards to our understanding. And I was saying that many historians say people create gods, gods don't create people. Many historians say that the impossibility of humans set the stage for people to accept God. Malcolm X said, your religion is your personal relationship with God. And if they ain't did no more for you than what it had, you need to put it in the closet and forget it anyway. What is your take on the history, the struggle, and the challenges of black religion?
Well, I think life is the religion that we need to be concerned with. Because religion is something that you practice on a daily basis, on a constant basis. And in the Christian book, Dogma, it says that we should pray without ceasing. So the only thing that you can do without ceasing is live. So I see life as the true religion of man. I see culture as the manifestation of that religion, and I see tradition as the protector of that religion. So we have culture and tradition. Those are the religions, if we want to speak about, and that's really doing it a disservice when we say religion, because suggests a return. Just like when we use the word like represent, I think religion is something that is presented to us from the beginning, and that's our culture. Our culture is presented to us. It wasn't represented to us. It was presented to us. And our traditions within that culture is what we use to maintain the efficacy of our religion, which is culture. So as it stands today, religion as it stands today, and as we have been taught, is really a political structure. And it's filled with a lot of bureaucracy. It's filled with a lot of regulations, which regulating something that has been regulated within its natural essence and innate self, which is life, culture, tradition. These are natural, to give even a more simple expression of this religion, it is our innate ability to be ourselves. That's religion. So what I see today happening now, like I said before, it's really an injustice. Religion today is an injustice.
All religions are injustice?
Yeah, every one of them. Every one of them. And the reason I say that is because we're not talking about spirituality. We're talking about religion.
So, organized worship, yeah.
Yeah, when you look at religion and you look at the state of the world today, the behavior of man, humans, mankind, what purpose has religion served? It has served to be a part of that which deteriorates human culture. It has not served as an entity that builds value within humanity. It has not served in a progressive manner. There are some people say, well, I love my Jesus and all this. And okay, so at what point do your Jesus come to an actuality? At what point does your Allah comes to an actuality? At what point does Yahweh come to an actuality wherein we can eradicate starvation, where we can eradicate hunger, we can eradicate poverty? We can look at Lord McClurley, who visited Africa in sometime in the 1880 something, 1830 something. And he traveled throughout, Africa, exploring the wonders of Africa. And when he returned to the British Commonwealth, he reported to the Commonwealth and said to them in the Parliament that he traveled throughout the entire breadth and span and the width of Africa, and he could not find one individual that was a beggar or a thief. Now, if you look at our people today as African uprise from the African genome, from the Negro genome, you will find that statement by Lord McClurley in the 1800s, sometime or 1700s, we're totally the opposite of that. We are all beggars and we're all thieves, begging for justice. We're begging for righteousness. We're begging for balance. We're begging in every turn. We are begging for proper education, for fair treatment, all this stuff. That's one example. And if your religion is not working in tandem with natural nature, then the religion is not natural. And it's eating away at the cultures of the indigenous life on this planet. The world is in chaos right now. And it's not because of knowledge, it's because of ignorance. Politics and bureaucracy stands in the way of true human progress. Everything is political. You have the Food and Drug Administration, for one. When you speak about the Food and Drug Administration, you have an entity that is regulating food. At the same time it's regulating food, it is also regulating drugs. At the same time it's doing that, it's administering these two elements to the population. So to regulate food is pathetic, because why would you want to regulate food when food comes out of the earth? And there are seasons that govern and regulate food already in its natural state. You have food that belongs to the spring season and the summer season and the autumn, fall season and the winter season. And then you have livestock, that also works in tandem with the needs, human needs. The drugs also are regulated, because every drug that the pharmaceutical really produce comes from nature. There is an herb, like for instance, there is an herb called soursop, a fruit called soursop. And this soursop fruit, the juice from it, the soursop itself, is 10,000 times stronger than chemotherapy in fighting cancer. 10,000 times stronger. Well, the scientists wanted to find out, oh, how is this happening? How is this to be? So they took it into a laboratory and tried to break it down to see if they can isolate that one thing in that soursop that they could extract and create a sorcery, which is the pharmaceutical. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't find it. The soursop would not allow them to do this. So they abandoned the whole process of trying to do that. And I'm saying all of this to say that is one entity. How many other entities are there that regulate our lives in a religious way? You have licensing systems, regulates our travel. You have licenses system that regulates our relationship, like marriage license and stuff. And they do these things religiously, perpetually throughout generations. So this is what, when we talk about religion, to me, we have to be very clear on what religion really and truly is, and not take it for, because they have these little temples and they have these books, these dogmas, say, well, this is religion. No, that's not religion. Religion is living. It's the one thing we do religiously, whether we want to or not. In the Christian Bible say, worship me in spirit and in truth. And the word truth, we can put the word honesty inside of that. Worship me in spirit and in honesty.
Are there any positives of religion?
All religions are positive. The question is, are they being utilized as that? Because that's what makes them bastardized. You see, because how could a religion lynch my foreparents, sell them into slavery, keep them as like they keep a dog or a mule or a tool in the name of Jesus, and then turn around and give you that religion and have you calling upon that same Jesus? So at the core of Christianity, at the core of Islam, at the core of Judaism, there's an essence there. And to your question, that's the positive aspect of it. But are we doing that? Is that really what's happening? Or are we just feeding off the corpse of the essence, what we call religion today?
That's a good point. And appreciate what you said, if I understand correctly. When religion is organized worship, that's what religion, that's what they generally define it as if you look it up in the dictionary. It's a challenge because churches do more than just talk about God. They bury people, they marry people, they pray for people, and they try to lift their spirits to make their body feel better or feel hopeful. That even if you die, you're not really dying spiritually, you're only dying physically. Why some religions say be absent from the body to be present with God. The earliest religions, the ones in the Holocaust of enslavement, I agree with you that they were manipulative, and for the primary purpose of mind manipulation and spiritual manipulation of the slave to accept slavery and get their blessings in heaven. And the European, watch it. I don't care if it was Islam, Judaism, or Christianity. They were all weaponized to lash the back of Black people spiritually. Physically you got lashes, but spiritually, because your spirit and your emotional is tied to your emotional commitment. You have three governances within you personally. Your mental government, and that's your intellectual, basing things on what you think. Your emotional governance, which governs what you have faith in, or governs you from that standpoint of how you feel. You know, even though this person is bad for me, I love him. You're going against your better judgment. Even though this person it beats me and stuff, I still love him. You know, people call you a fool. You know, and then there's the other governance of yourself. So you have a mental and a emotional, and then generally intellectual or mental or psychological. Faith. Faith is when your spirit, your emotional, and your intellectual are in conflict. Then you just do things what you believe is right, or that you have faith in, and you're willing to accept the consequences. Many people in religion already take consequences if there's not no God or there's not no truth to that religion. But while they're in religion, their challenge is to hold on to that faith. Why? Because it gives them a sense of that there is more to life than just physical and mental, that there's a spiritual dynamic to life. Some people believe in reincarnation. Some people don't believe in nothing. The majority of the people in the world are non-religious. Religious people, as you say, are just our organization. And it controls your belief system in many ways. And your belief system sometimes supersedes your mental and your emotional. It can be stronger than your emotional. No matter how much information you give a person, as you have said, Brother Shirah, people don't give up their religion. As Mshinda said, you know, you can't talk them out of it. Even though you have proof that their religion has been, as you said, Shirah, bastardized. But there's reasons for that. In the early days, after slavery, during Reconstruction and during the period post-slavery, religious churches provided the welfare services. Many of them provided child care while their parents worked in the field. Many of them provided a sense of sanctuary for runaway slaves and helping people build houses, and it became a community. There was no welfare, there was farewell in those days, and so you relied on each other. Churches used to have picnics, churches used to have outings, ball games, and things amongst themselves. So it gave them a sense of community. And then it became performance, you know. Black ministers got their way of preaching from white ministers. White ministers used to preach just like black ministers do today, many of them. And they were slaves, and they took them to these their churches, rode the buggies to them, or back, or whatever they were riding, and they cleaned the churches and things, so they got a chance to watch them. And so they began to organize and become ministers. But at the same time, you know, there were many movements that churches did more than just come to church and give me your money. They were really legitimate in providing social services and social needs. When people came to a town or left on one set, part of the country to another country, first place they looked for was a black church, especially black people, because that's where they could get help. And that's why churches are so meaningful to many black people. They get help there. When they had problems, like even today, when you have problems with your kids, you You know, you try to get them spiritual because they give them morality and senses of ethics, and teach them what's a sin and what's not a sin, and that it's bad to sin, drink, fight, and kill, and steal. And this is way before the jurisprudence, because you know we never got arrested in segregation and then post-slavery and during slavery. They just killed us, punished us on the spot. There was no justice. And I mean, there's plenty of corruption in many churches. I mean, people have to run ministers off. But because people abuse it, don't mean it don't have some positive aspects to it. You know, Martin Luther King was a religious movement. He formed the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And he taught people that through their faith, they could take beatings. And it was a way to be nonviolent and get civil rights, which was to change laws. And in order to do that, he had to change people and give them a sense that God is protecting them and God wanted them to do this. And that's powerful, you know. And so, you know, I agree with what you and Brother Mshinda said. Yeah, there's corruption, but there are positive attributes to some people. Some people credit religion with saving their lives, as Mshinda was pointing out. And, you know, I was a dope fiend. I went to church and, you know, I converted and got baptized, and I don't use dope no more. I don't swear no more. I go to church religiously. And without that faith, I don't think I could have made it. They talk about making a way out of no way. You know, when you go to church, they take your faith and it supersedes all intelligence. You know, all the biblical stories, people walking on water, feeding hundreds of people with one fish and one piece of bread and all that type of stuff. And, you know, living to be 900 and all kinds of stuff going on, and violence throughout the Bible in Christian religion and also in Islam, you know, and Judaism too. You see that's going on today with the Palestinians being victims of a Holocaust with America blessings, and the president of America is supposed to be a Catholic. Thou shalt not kill. You know? And he's facilitating the murder and calling these people God's people. Forget the religion. Take religion off. They're human beings. Terrorists. they got the bombs and they're not terrorists. You know? So,
if I may interject.
Yeah.
You see, we can discuss where we're at right now and how we got here and the events that brought us here. Or we can see beyond the illusion of how we got here, beyond the illusion of what's going on right now, to the essence of everything. And I open up first of all speaking about culture as the real religion, life as the religion. Life is the religion. The most valuable thing that exists is life itself. Just like I may have a personality and a character, and another man's personality and character may be different, and women may have certain characters and personalities. You can look at a dog and see the different characters and personality in two different dogs. You could look at the personality and character that's in the vegetation. You shall know them by their fruits. So culture is the religion. Culture's character and personality is the personality and the character of life itself. Out of life has two aspects to itself. One, visible life. 2, invisible life or unseen, the seen and the unseen life. Out of those 2 characters, and I'm quite sure if you was to look into it in a more deeper way, one would be male and one would be considered the female. Out of that 2 characteristics of life, culture is born. Out of that birth, culture produces traditions so that it can be saved and protected as it progresses through the eons of time, which is infinite and everlasting. The darkness, the invisible is infinite and everlasting. And the seen aspect of life and characteristics of life is infinite, everlasting, eternal. Culture is distinctive and has its place.
Are you saying that culture and the way you describe life as a culture and supersedes religion and all of that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Who created it?
Excuse me?
Who created it?
That's a question that is not even necessary. Let me tell you why. And I don't mean no disrespect.
No, you're not disrespecting. This is an interesting discussion. I just want to know.
So who created life, right?
Yeah. I mean, who created the culture and the life?
Okay.
You said the people who, the man and the woman created the cultures.
No. The man and the woman didn't create the culture. They are a manifestation of culture.
Of life culture.
Everything came out of life itself. Life is a phenomenon. It's an unexplainable phenomenon. Many theories and theses, Darwin being one of them. And then Einstein came along with his theory of relativity. And today we have Gabriel Oyibo, who come up with the God Almighty Grand Unified Theorem. Okay?
No, okay, they come up there. I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Who created it?
Who created life?
Yeah.
Life itself. Life created life.
So you answered the question with a question.
No, I answered the question, say who created life? I'm saying life created life. It's like saying, I'll give you an orange seed and the person going to say, well, who created the orange? Well, the orange tree created the orange. And it will always be so. It can never be different. There are certain things.
That's the challenge that people come up with. That, you know, when you look at the sun, you look at the stars, you look at the other aspects of life, as you said, how life come into being, how you stay into being, and how you live while you're being, and how you try to strive for immortality. And what I'm hearing you saying is that's an aspect of life, natural life. Because the pre-Africans believed in nature, like you're discussing, that, you know, life was in everything, and you respected it. They even talked to the animals before they killed them, talked to the trees before they cut them down. So I'm sorry, I got to do this, I got to do that, because they were into that. In John Mbiti's book, African Philosophy and Religion, he talks about that. Animism was the first belief system that Black people believed in, because there was no organized spiritual aspect. And in certain books, they talk about people believing in lunar gods, astronomy gods, and then they broke it on down to somebody created Jesus, you know, but they all came from people. And I'm asking, you know, see, your theory and your position is a good one. I mean, I have no problem with it. I think that it's very deep and very meaningful. But you have to give people a source. Where did it come from?
Okay, here go the source. The source for any individual or any group that wants the source of what I'm saying, they themselves is the source of what I'm saying. For instance, how do I know that God exists? Because I exist, therefore God must exist. How do I know that there is life? Because I'm alive, therefore life is. Now, what happens is our refusal to accept the truth. The evidence is in our face. We are the evidence of life, and everything around us exudes that and works in tandem with us. We're the evidence of life, but how do we maintain our life? If we do not eat, we will begin to deteriorate. If we do not, and when I say eat now, I mean that very loosely, because you have some people that are breatharians and they don't chew no food. There are people that just eat fruits. They're fruitarians. So eating is a vast, vast highway. You know, it's a diverse, when you talk about dietary practices, it's vast. I'm gonna give you a true story. My wife, we've been together like over 43 years. She's a midwife and she's a nurse. One of her mothers were giving birth one time, and the birth was kind of difficult. The child that was being birthed had difficulty coming into the world. The child almost never made it because of something my wife spoke and said to those who were handling it, because it was a sensitive case. They were able to save the child. The doctors tried to blame my wife for the difficulty, and the parents of the child told the doctors that they are wrong, because if it was not for her, the child would not have made it. Now, stop right there. Now we're going to fast forward. This child is now a teenager. And this child reports to her mother that the reason why she had difficulty coming into this world at the time when she was coming in is because where she came from, the people only breathe with their skin. And when she came into this world, it was very difficult for her to breathe. She almost didn't make it. So, and what I'm saying to you now is that these different institutions that set up in the name of religion, and the different books and writings in the name of, which are the dogmas that support these religions, and these religions claim to love God, revere God, and all these things. I'm just being honest with myself. I was raised up. I was Christian in the Church of God. My father was a Seventh-day Adventist. We attended church on a regular basis. I remember as a child, I was very discombobulated because of how I see the people in the church were behaving. I couldn't understand it. My question to myself was, what's wrong with these people? Why are they carrying on like this? And as I developed in myself and began to speak directly to God, God begins to show me what time it is. And so for me, it's like now God revealed to me that we're in a different age and time right now, where religion is becoming obsolete. It has run its course. And the minds that we have, the brains that we have in our head, because that's what we connect to God with, the brain, the pineal gland, and so on and so forth, the third eye and whatnot. That's how we connect to God. We're coming to a point now where God is ordering a dramatic and radical change within the faculty of the mind of man. The Godhead, the God-man is coming into existence now, where we do not have to do all this elaborate thinking and studying about God. We just have to be that which we already are. We are this creation. We're one and the same with it, and everyday science proves it. Without the vegetation, we would probably not exist because we would have no oxygen. They're talking about the greenhouse effect. But who causes that? Industry, modern industry, and the behaviors and the practices of humankind on this earth. Their lack of respect for the Godhead. Because God is God, God is spirit, based upon the dogmas of the world, whether it be Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism. God is a spirit. And based on their dictionary, the definition of the word spirit is breath. So if we say Godhead, we know that the head is here where your brain is housed in your head. So when we say Godhead, it means is a man and or a woman that has achieved oneness, harmony, and integration with the God of themselves, which dwells within themselves. And the scripture, the Christian scripture tells you, Christ's own words say God is within you. So, we either gonna have to accept the truth and the honesty of the truth and begin to integrate and deal with each other on the basis of integrated honesty.
Yeah, but that's the challenge. That's the challenge, because each person that professes spirituality says they are the truth, and that they're getting their words from a God, and that God revealed life to them and revealed it. That's what revelation means, to reveal.
Yeah. And they're not wrong.
Well, I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they're wrong. All right. I'm just saying that it creates a diversity and competition for the people and the masses, as far as speaking the various versions of truth. Truth is the basis of knowledge, and knowledge is the basis of education. And so, and the basis of truth is more truth. So each generation comes up with its own truth.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you believe that you know and understand what you know and understand? Do you accept that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that that quality in you that allows you to know and understand what you know and understand, and the wisdom, which is the experience that you have, which teaches you wisdom, do you believe or do you accept that those same very qualities that is in you is in every man as it is in you?
Yeah, if he chooses to use them.
Oh, okay, but whether he chooses to use them, that's not the question.
Do you believe it is? Because there's people that may know the truth but don't practice the truth. There are people that say they're teaching the truth and teaching a lie.
But the truth is still there.
Well, truth is a construction. That's why it changes all the time. Like, people, you had to come to truth. You weren't, like you say, you came up in church and you came up Seventh-day Adventists and your parents. And I know you didn't tell them, mom and dad.
That's not the truth. That's just history. That's just history. That's not the truth.
Well, your history is the basis of lessons, though. And you learn positive and negative from lessons. And I'm just saying
to you, the truth is something different.
Well, that's your version. To the people that believe, to the people that believe what they believe, that's their truth. Is that correct?
you are correct. But what I'm telling you, that regardless of what people believe, what I believe, what you believe, what I think, what the next person think, that there is such a thing as truth, period, infallible truth. That's why inside of each and every one of us, we know exactly when we get ready to go do something that we know we ain't supposed to be doing. We know.
But what you just said is correct when you talk about nature. We know that everybody's going to die. Everybody has to sleep. Everybody has to eat. Everybody has to use the bathroom. That would give humans, and even animals have to do that. Flowers and plants have to do that. That's just an observation of life. The question is, where did all that come from? And that's what religion is telling people, that there was a God that created it.
That is the mistake. And that is the mistake
Wait. People create truth all the time, like what you're doing. Very few people believe what you believe. This is from your life experience, your education, your knowledge. This is your construction of truth, which is good. And everybody should have their special truth. You understand? That's what they used to do when we was on drugs. This is the truth, man. Man, this is the truth. You understand? I mean, people abuse truth and use it in different ways. Only thing I'm saying to you is that, the evolution of nature, believing in evolution, understanding that the universe just evolved, okay. And you're supposed to learn from it, and that everything is natural, and nature is it, and you are God. People teach you that, but are you acting like one? And are you doing it like one? You understand? Righteousness, if you're talking about a good God or a bad God. You understand? And so what I'm saying is that there's an origin to what you're saying, and I'm trying to get to it. Where did you get this from? And who created life and nature? That's a question.
Yeah, all I can say to that is what I speak comes directly from life itself.
That's exactly what Carter G. Woodson said about walking in the forest. If you treat the plants right, they'll talk back to you.
So for me now to explain to me, to someone where I got it from, they will have a difficulty if they have not experienced themselves. Because the mere fact that I eat food proves to me that every being that looks like me, that is like me, whether they're black, white, or whatever color they is, they eat food too. They need water or drink to quench their thirst. They have a need to procreate. This is life. And if one wants to understand life, one has to live life. Or one can live what they want to assume and presume is life. They can make it up as they go along. Or they can surrender to life in its proper, in its moral, in its righteousness, and succumb to the truth and the honesty that exists within and around them in all of nature. Or they can be barbarians and say that they're supreme and superior to this, that, and the heavens, and if there's no God, and that there's nothing greater than them, and so they can just do whatever they want to do, and they can do all of that. But it doesn't change the truth and the fact of what they actually are, which is a manifestation of life.
Can I make some observation of what you're saying, Brother Gerard?
Surely.
So basically you saying there are things for certain that's going on that's basically life, and we all adhere to that certainty.
Yes. And when we do not, Now we have the political mindset now. We're constantly in debate. We're constantly talking about this, that, and the third, because we're not accepting the natural order, the natural reality. The natural order is something like this. If I see you in trouble and hurting, the natural thing of me is to help you. If I see that you are hungry, legitimately, sincerely lacking information, lacking knowledge, my natural propensity as a true man is to assist you. That's just how it is. If I see children hurting and in pain, if I see people without housing, their health is being broken down, my true nature is to find out what is the cause of this and how can I rectify that. See, the world is not dealing with integrating honesty. They're talking about integrating money and status. And anything they do it with a fruitive mind. In other words, I'm doing this so that I can get that. I'm doing this because if I do this, I'm gonna get that. Well, this is gonna happen for me, and this and that and this and that. They're not devoted to the spirit that they call God. So therefore their religion become useless.
All right. Let me do this. Brother Rashid, we got to have part 2 next Tuesday. Okay. I want Rahh to come back. And Mshinda, if you agree and everybody agree, we'll be back next Tuesday, part 2 of this. And that give us time to do some thinking about what Rahh said and what Mshinda said, what you said, I said, and come back with some further discussion on this issue and let people know we're going to be discussing the aspect of the truth, as Rahh said, the real truth, black truth or real truth.
Yeah.
He said, don't make no difference what color you is. You know,
yeah, and to hit on what you just said, brother, in terms of truth, we can just look at the situation right now in Palestine. Okay, it is the refusal to accept the truth that is causing the upheaval. Look at what was happening within the enslavement of our people in this country, and even the oppression and the suppression and degradation of our people in Africa and elsewhere on this planet, like for Haiti and everything. What is wrong with these nations of the world?
Well, they've been doing it since the beginning of the earth. People organize, gang like wild dogs hunting. Wild people used to hunt together. And conquer not only things for food, but conquer and take other people's possessions until they got socially organized to protect themselves. But we discuss all this next week, brother. You got to come back.
I'm with you.
Okay, brother, we start at 6, and we're gonna use maybe an hour and a half. All right, and I'm gonna let you start it off, brother Rahh. We got to finish this because you even got to go study. I taught black religion, brother. You had me studying some of the concepts that you brought up, and Mshinda, I hope you can make it back next week too. Rashid, close us out and tell us what's going on tomorrow.
Okay, before I do that, Brother Mshinda had something to say. Let's get him. Brother Mshinda.
No, all I have to say is, back when I was on, what Brother Chirara was saying, I agree with, a lot of what he's saying, from an interpretation, how we interpret what people are saying. And of course, Brother Chirara speaks for himself and he can say, hey, this is what my meaning is. But this is, at the end of the day, the question was about the good and bad of religion. And so just piggybacking off that question or adding to that question or answering to that question, adding more to that question as far as an answer goes, of course, religion, that's, being able to appeal to the senses of people is part of the strategy. And whether it's unintentional or intentional, let's talk about intentional. The demons that say, "Hey, let's do some subliminal seduction. We will prey on the people. In other words, we'll give them something good. We will talk about something good, but we're only going to let them go so far with them being able to understand who they are and what they're capable of doing." And then there's the unintentional, to where they're ignorant just like everybody else. They think they're doing the right thing, and they're just trying, and they may not have all the answers, but they have good intention. So they may be unintentional in terms of trying to suppress the spirit, the culture, the people, suppressing, as a negative. So I say this to say that you know, the ones that are intentional, the ones that seem to, there are plenty of people who know what they're doing, and they're using it, as a weapon, or just to suppress, the elevation of the spirit in the mind. Because once you become elevated, then, once you understand it, like Brother Chirara is saying, hey, you know, I mean, this is just my interpretation of what he's saying, and he can say, no, that's not what I mean. I don't speak for him. But I'm saying is what I'm getting out of it is that, you know, religion, God is in us. And once we reach that pinnacle of knowing that, hey, we are God. What does that mean? We're not the God, or is there some prime mover? Or, yeah, we can yield to that, but we are of that power. We are of that power. This is who we are. And so there are entities out there that don't want you to know who you are, and therefore will feed you certain things to make you feel good about yourself and make you feel that you're doing something great for humanity and people, and which you may be doing. But at the end of the day, you never reach your peak or your optimum level, because it's being suppressed by those who are trying to suppress or oppress, the whole process. So anyway, I'm done.
Yeah.
And you come back next. We ain't done with you though. We coming back next week.
I tell you, when I was at Long Beach State, and I saw Brother Khalid Muhammad, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, and he broke down the words of Islam, well, the letters, the acronym, I, self, Lord, and Master. So basically, and I don't know where I got this from. Is man is like God himself. I don't know if I got that from you, Rahh, or somebody, but it was somebody.
You said?
Man is like God himself. And
man
then
is what?
God is like man himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's people that reverberate these words, and it's self mastery. It goes deep, but yeah, we can definitely get into it. I have a few things to say also, but on tomorrow I'm gonna just show it just in case somebody. But see, the thing about it is, I got to get this up so people can see it. We got Arthur Tess Jones coming on, and she has a book called the crackhead poet, and in the book, the crackhead it's an acronym. So she's going to discuss all of that. And the title of the show tomorrow is One Woman Show. It's never just about addiction. So, Nancy, I've got to get that changed. Okay, but that's what's going on tomorrow, Professor Rahh. We're going to do part 2 next week, right? Yeah, I got to get that changed.
Abduction. Okay.
It's a
Yeah,
addiction.
man.
But very interesting. I knew Brother Chihuahua would bring something interesting to the table.
Oh,
Glad
yeah.
he was able to make
He's
it.
interesting.
Oh yeah.
He's very
Yeah. Okay, so each one teach one in Conscious Corner. We're
All right,
taking
let's
our
take a
pause.
pause.